Welcome to the Lightning Round, brought to you by Moviga. I'm Lee with your weekly source for all things movies, video games, and more. So grab your ponchos and let's catch up on this week's news. Larian Studios, creators for the instant classic Baldur's Gate 3, has officially announced that they will not be carrying the Baldur's Gate franchise torch any further. The studio is leaving, quote, these beloved characters and stories in the hands of D&D and hope that they treat them with appropriate love and respect. This game was a huge hit, an incredibly detailed game with hours and hours of stories to last for 5 or more different playthroughs. I agree that the story/game they created had a beginning, a middle, and a clear end. But what are your thoughts on Larian moving on to something completely new? Dune 3 director makes a bold statement that if Dune 3 isn't better than Dune 2, then he, quote, won't do it. I think this is a big deal. It's really good to know that he wants to further improve on this trilogy. Dune 2 has already been received immensely well. In my opinion, he is already well on his way to create the perfect trilogy for this generation, similar to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings at the turn of the century. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased there, but let's hope for more incredible cinematic experiences. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is not getting the highest rated reception, as the next installment in the series gets a 4 out of 10 from IGN, stating that this current continuation of the series needs to figure out how to do the IP justice without any of the OG Busters in tow. I'm all for fan service, but one thing I know for sure that creates longevity is trying to innovate and try to tell new stories well. Obviously, that's not a blanket statement. Please don't ruin our beloved IPs just because you're trying to milk the cash cow. Here's looking at you, Warner Brothers Hobbit trilogy. Final news for this week is that Aaron Taylor Johnson has been offered the role of James Bond. This is an interesting pick for me. I also thought the same thing about Daniel Craig, though, who in my opinion has been arguably one of, if not, the best we've had to don the tuxedo. Maybe share some thoughts with us about your favorite Bond or what you think of this potential casting. Well, it looks like the storm has passed. Be sure to check out the Moviga podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and even more nerdy stuff at movigapodcast.com, where we're talking all things movies, video games, and more. I'm Lee, and thanks for joining me this week for The Lightning Round.